pretty soon, it's not even gonna mean anything to be a millionaire. I'm telling you the truth. $1 million, listen, when I was coming up as a little kid 30 years ago, $1 million meant that you made it. Like, most people was like, we can live the rest of our life off of $1 million. Late 80s, early 90s, my family found that out firsthand. When we ran into money, we was broke within a few years. $1 million back then didn't even mean anything. In a few years, $1 million. Listen, I was reading an article the other day, because I'm always researching, I'm always deep diving into anything financial. I was reading an article the other day, and it was saying that people that retire with $1 million nowadays are still worried. Retire with $1 million, you worry. It's another side of that equation. Because I keep giving y'all some insight on how y'all need to look at things from a political perspective also, from an inflation perspective. I'm going to keep beating this in your head, and I'm going to keep helping you to understand that every day you get a raise, every day you look at things a specific type of way, you're not actually getting a raise, okay? Inflation. This just came out yesterday. Inflation. Now a huge problem. 3 months ago, your president, this is why you can't wait for anybody to give you a handout. 3 months ago, your president assured his fellow Americans that a surge in inflation was temporary. Lies. The Federal Reserve largely concurred. Of course they did, because they want you to continue to believe in the American dollar. Now, Biden and the Fed have either have to redefine temporary or come up with a different narrative. Well, let's talk about why. Overall inflation hit 6.2% in October. For those of you that tune into me every single day, you know what inflation is. Inflation means the value of your dollar is becoming less and less significant. It doesn't go as far. When you go to the grocery store and a pack of chicken is $8. When you go to I was talking to my driver that brought me over to my hotel last night, and he said, yo, gas is going up here even in Florida. Right now it's like $3.60. Over in Hawaii and California is $6, $7, and $8 in some cities. This is mounting evidence that inflation pressures are building throughout the economy. That underlines our view that inflation will remain elevated for much longer than the Fed officials expect. So you telling me that the Fed, that our president that has the smartest, wisest people all around him can't figure out, but Anton Daniels can sit here and talk to you on my MacBook Pro M1 Max from the rooftop on Florida. I can sit and talk to you on my freaking laptop, but you telling me that the president of the United States, nah, I'm not going inside. Y'all just gonna have to deal with the wind. It's okay. You telling me that the president of the United States can't figure out that inflation is here to stay, but Anton can predict it and tell you that? That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense whatsoever. If you think that these people are just telling you the truth, it's crazy. But we'll continue. Familiar trends such as the rising cost of energy, along with new and used cars, still pushing inflation higher. Oh, it's more than just that. It's logistics, it's new and used cars, it's the semiconductor shortage, it's different countries closing their borders, it's a lot of workers retiring, it's no longer a replacement, it's a lack of workers, right? And those that are getting to the bag is getting to it double, which means it's a disposal of the middle class, because the poor is getting poorer and the rich is getting richer, right? New inflationary pressure from rent and housing costs, which tends to be sticky. But when rents go up, they usually stay up. Rents don't go back down, ladies and gentlemen. Food prices is rising higher than average. The direct strain on family budget. Healthcare costs. All of these things, along with the fact that people are falling out of love with the American dollar, and they starting to put more of their money into cryptocurrency and all of these things to hedge against inflation. This is what you're dealing with as a consumer. So your dollar doesn't go as far as you think it did. Now he's acknowledging the pain, saying in a November 10th White House statement, inflation hurts Americans' pocketbooks. No kidding, sir. No kidding. And reversing this trend is a top priority for me. Really? Okay. He pledged government action to address soaring gasoline prices and other types of inflation. Listen, the only way that you can solve for inflation is by having good policies based off of how it is that we're supposed to help businesses. You can't do it by overtaxing people. You can't do it by passing $3 trillion deals that with no way to pay for it. You can't do it by printing more money. That's not how you solve for inflation. This gives you a trend, right? Anyways, he's talking about releasing the nation's oil reserves and all of this other bull crap. And this is telling you, and this is a graph of showing you exactly where inflation is, okay? Gasoline, rental cars, used vehicles, hotel rooms. This just kind of gives you an idea of why inflation is so high. It gives you a chart. But let me give you something else that'll help you a little bit more, right? Because inflation is also wiping out wage increases. And I've been talking to you guys about this for a long time, right? Stagnant wages haunted the country for years until the pandemic blew away the economy. It gives you that 6.2% on multiple articles, 6.2%. Average hourly earnings are only up 5.1% on the year, which is significant. Congratulations, you got a 5% raise. But inflation is 6.2%. They can't even give you a big enough raise to keep up with inflation. Which means that even when they gave you a 5% raise, the value of your dollar is still less than the rising cost of inflation. If you are not a part of the Patreon, I need you to be a part of the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And I break down exactly what inflation is and how it is that you're affected by it. Why your dollar does not go as far and why it's important for you to invest in assets that continue to beat the rate of inflation instead of trading in your time for money, because you'll never beat it that way. Wage growth has not kept up with increases in worker productivity, and over the last 40 years, pandemic exacerbated some of those trends. Companies have raised wages to attract or retain workers, but it doesn't even matter. In October 2020, the average hourly wage for non-managerial private employees was $24.83. Last month, it was $26.26. So the average hourly wage for non-managerial private employees was $24.83. But the increase of cost of goods is threatening those gains, as significant increases in cost of energy, cars, food, shelter has been corresponding phenomenon. Demand fluctuations, supply chain issues, and other issues reshaping the economy. Many workers may still be better off. Cap. Many workers are not better off. Do not let these spins fool you. Do not listen. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Can I be absolutely honest with you? Here, let me close this for a minute so I can be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you for a second. You ready? You ready to hear the truth? Pretty soon, it's not even gonna mean anything to be a millionaire. Pretty soon, it's not even gonna mean anything to be a millionaire. I'm telling you the truth. $1 million, listen, when I was coming up as a little kid, 30 years ago, $1 million meant that you made it. Like, most people was like, we can live the rest of our life off of $1 million. Late 80s, early 90s, my family found that out firsthand. When we ran into money, we was broke within a few years. $1 million back then didn't even mean anything. In a few years, $1 million. Listen, I was reading an article the other day, because I'm always researching, I'm always deep diving into anything financial. I was reading an article the other day, and it was saying that people that retire with $1 million nowadays are still worried. retire with $1 million, you worried. That means you about 60-something years old, and you worried you're going to run out of money before you die. Your money making money on top of money, and you worried you're going to run out of money before you die. They say on average, in order to feel comfortable when you retire, right now you need about 1.9 million in order to feel comfortable when you retire. Look it up. You need about 1.9 million to feel comfortable today. Now take into account inflation. Take into account that there may be a great reset that's coming. Don't worry. I'm going to drop that in the Patreon first. We're going to do HSAs, health savings accounts. We're going to go over that on a Patreon exclusive tomorrow morning. I'm going to have a conversation on Patreon meetup while I'm here. We're going to break down exactly what the Great Reset is and how it is that you can prepare for it, how I'm already prepared for it. But they saying on average you need at least almost $2 million before you retire. Win is so disrespectful, but we're going to be all right. You need at least $2 million. No, you should. Listen, let them keep laughing. The price of a movie ticket back in the 80s, less than $3. You can't even rent a movie on Apple TV for less than $3 now in your own crib, let alone go to the movie theater. And don't buy popcorn. It's crazy. I'm going to bring it back to my original statement that I told y'all. You have to get rich. You have to get rich. It's not going to be enough to just have over $1 million in assets. And most of y'all that have a net worth over $1 million when you retire, a lot of that is built into your home. You're going to have to get rid of your home to even be able to access that. You're not even liquid. And you better hope that at the time that you retire, it's not the same as it was in 2007 and 2008 when it was a great reset. Because then you're going to have to get a job to supplement yourself.